Have a shot. 30 seconds. I'm on right now. I don't believe you.
Run.
What?
How do you do, the crew that is Brew? Welcome to the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I'm your host Lefty. A very warm welcome to you all this evening, coming to you from Manchester. There will be lots of Manchester on tonight's stream, but global things as well. My left eye sees very far indeed. Let's brew this thing. While we get settled for a few moments, please do ensure that you have hit the trusty thumbs up like button on the stream. Helps to spread the good word around YouTube, the algorithm, and the internet in general. So please hit all relevant buttons there. Let us know how you're doing in the chats. We had the Shouty Bloke in first, great to see you. He's stuck on caps, don't gripe in the chat, please. Ed Thompson, I think I do know who you mean. Does he do a sort of thing where he does sort of selfie style videos, like near where he lives or on his break during work or something? And what's it called? The alternative news, alternative headlines or something like that. Is that who I'm thinking of? I'll just turn the background music down a bit more so I don't have to shout. I have too much shouting, Shouty Bloke. But I think I'm familiar with the channel, yeah. Hype them, very good evening. MIDI Doctors also. Flow Snake, great to see you. That's a studio. Ah, right, yeah. I think it is the same person. I think he does that as well. The studio things, the Far Right Watch. I think I've seen one or two of those. Yeah, he's quite good at pointing out reform, their hiccups, trip-ups, all the rest of it. Pretty funny stuff as well, actually. Yeah. Has a sort of 80s pop jingle at the end, if memory serves. Not that it's been ages. Anyway, Doc Davies is joining us in the chat as well. nice to see you. Sorry, we're still stuck on these handles instead of avatar names. So if you are normally known by another name that's completely different, let us know. So yeah, the Brews at 10, or T-Bats. Could bounce that new nickname around the office, see what comes up. We'll catch up on a few stories from this week. Quite a lot to get through actually on tonight's stream. Plenty of Manchester, as I said. Obviously, Tadhg Polanski. Rises even further. Take a look at some of Zach's latest escapades. Zach's on the attack. Your party are trying to gather steam as well. We're going to see the latest from your party as well. A few polls and things like that. We've also got a poll up ourselves here on stream. So one of the stories we're going to be covering concerns the poll. Well, I'll explain the story first, and then the selections on the poll. So for anybody who doesn't know, perhaps you've not heard yet, or you're from outside the UK, sorry, this is a bit of a UK specific niche poll, Manchester poll in fact, and a Labour MP has stood down, apparently so that the current mayor, Andy Burnham, can not sit, but try and sit in Parliament, can stand for the seat, and if he wins, therefore he will have a seat in Parliament and be able to challenge Keir Starmer for the leadership. That's the plan. So should that come to fruition, this is very much a hypothetical at the moment, because Tadhg Polanski as well hasn't stood or decided where he's going to stand for a seat yet, has potentially thrown the idea around of taking on Burnham. Hypothetically, a lot of hypotheticals on this one. But also George Galloway apparently has stuck his neck out and said he might consider it. Mr. Lend Me Your Vote. Mr. Rochdale by-election win recently. But ironically, that's still actually one of the most successful videos this channel's ever had, actually, just reporting on that by-election. So yeah, he's popped his head out again. Apart from when it comes to issues like Gaza, or if you've seen any of his old clips from what he said on Iraq, I, find those quite impressive. Bang on the money. But I have a few criticisms where he's concerned as well, especially concerning environment, homophobia, transphobia, a couple of things. So just to point out, I'm not a Galloway mega fan, but he has said that he might potentially stand with the Workers' Party of Britain. Of course, he stood last time in Rochdale and won, but was only in for a short time because he lost it at the general election to someone from Labour. Alright, so at the moment, most of you are going for Zach, who is on the attack. We're going to be seeing plenty of that on the stream. 71% of you favour Polanski at the moment. So the four choices are obviously Labour with Burnham, Green Party Zelensky Reform, be some arsehole or other, Workers' Party of Britain, Galloway. Cast ye votes, people, cast ye votes. It will stay up until the end of the stream. If you're not sure yet, like I said, we will be coming on to that story, so if you want a bit more info where that's concerned, then stand by. Stay right where you are. This is the stream to be on this evening. Time for a shout out to all the members on the channel. As well, I say all of the members. I am actually going to have to point something out. As you can see, this list of incredible supporters. Not usual that I'd do this over the membership video, but when it does come up, we'll point it out. Whilst waiting for that though, lots of ways that you can help to support the channel. Super chat is open, as well as super thanks if you watch it back later on. Super stickers are also open, and there's a buy me a coffee page in the description of the stream or any of the content on the channel. So I've paused it there, so these 9 members get a particularly extended thank you. You might have noticed the blank space at the bottom. One such member has some invalid characters, that is where the software is concerned. There's like an italic F in there and a lot of other symbols. I'm not entirely certain how to pronounce it, of course, otherwise I'd be doing so right now, but that blank space, if that particular member and viewer is watching, and you know that I'm talking about you by the loose description of your name, then I don't want you to think that you've been excluded. It's just that they are invalid characters, whether you are watching or not. Back to the rest of the members. That's the only time I've ever interrupted the members roster, apart from a technical restart or something like that. Being thorough, everybody gets due credit on my left eye, especially our marvellous members. And we're currently on 147. That's a snooker maximum, but not a maximum where the membership goal is concerned. That goes, excuse me, all the way up to 250. So thank you very much to those of you who've renewed memberships recently, as well as gifted to others. It does mean a lot. The self-promotion stall is now closed. I think I've gotten through everything. Oh, social media, follow us there as well at My Left Eye UK. Blue Sky, Twitter, Mastodon. Right, that's quick. We shot early on Fridays, mate. Let's move on. Reformer considering standing Zia Yusuf, are they? Well, I do have a poll. I do have a poll where that particular seat is concerned. And that came out yesterday, so it's pre today's sort of heads popping out. Everybody wants a piece of this seat now in Manchester. It's quite incredible. It's not too far away from where the stream's coming to you from this evening, of course. So I always like to point out. I'd still probably say that if it happened 2 streets away, to be honest, so some story. But could that make a difference? Zia Yusuf. We'll see. We'll see. My left eye sees all. I can say so much as it would definitely, almost definitely be between the polls that the parties that I've mentioned in the poll. That's a semi-spoiler alert to that poll I was referring to. Joe Cosson 8892. Hashtag Zara for PM. I can see you're on the left slate there. I can see. Well, we're going to be talking about your party coming up, so do stick around for that. Obviously, the other slate is Corbyn's The Many slate. We're getting into parties within parties territory already. But it has to be done. A leader or leaders must be selected. they better hurry up about it if they're going to catch up with Zach. But do support both the Greens and your party. Any genuine socialist politics passes the bar. I've got some weather reports in the chat as well from the southwest. Solidari-Tea, wherever you're watching from, in the UK or the wider world. In fact, we have quite a lot of international viewers. Overall, and in terms of videos, not live streams, where UK viewers are still the majority. But actually, the USA has actually become the biggest audience for the channel recently. So shout out to any American viewers. It's 10:15 at night, you know, which means we must be getting on with things. Enough yakking from yours truly. Let's kick off with a comedy clip. A debut on the Brews at 10, or indeed My Left Eye, from a Scottish comedian who did this great bit. There are many out there in terms of Donald Trump impressions. This one's particularly good. There are some very famous ones, of course. Alec Baldwin's old one, the current... sorry, I've forgotten his name. Part of brain fart. The guy who does it at the moment on Saturday Night Live. Obviously Paul from Climate Lens, friend of the channel. Well, this one's particularly good. It was at the... what was it now? It was at an awards. No, it was Private Eye, whether it was awards or not. But Lewis MacLeod, Scottish comedian, shout out to Scotland, up Scotland, as well. It's a very good bit. The mannerisms, what he says and everything, it's fantastic. So, Lewis MacLeod, check him out if you don't know him already.
Great job, great job. It is a great honor for you to hear me tell you about the latest war I've ended. I'm stopping wars everywhere. 7 since I began this speech, including the War of the Roses, the War of the Worlds, War for Planet of the Apes, War Horse, World War Z, Star Wars, and the Civil War in America. I'm working on that one in the moment. The latest one was in Ukraine. And I said to President Zelensky, not a very nice person, not a grateful person, not a great guy, I said, guess how I'm going to end this war? And he said, I give up. And I said, absolutely right. So here's the latest peace deal, which was dictated to me by President Putin. He's a great dictator. I love dictators, fact. So, 1, Russia to keep all captured territory, including the White House. 2, free and fair elections in Ukraine, whereby Vlad Zelensky is replaced by a more suitable president who wears a suit, i.e. Vladimir Putin. 3, Chicken Kyiv to be renamed Chicken Moscow. 4, Donbass to be renamed Don Trump. 5, Ukrainian army to be halved, soldiers' legs removed from their bodies. Great job. 6, 500,000 peacekeeping Russian troops to be dispatched to Ukraine to monitor the ceasefire. 7, President Trump to be guaranteed security of Ukraine's precious minerals, i.e. dilithium. kryptonite, and maydupium. 8, Russia to be found innocent of all war crimes that they didn't commit and all the ones they are about to not commit. 9, Nigel Farage to be made King of the United Kingdom. And 10, President Trump to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Donald Trump.
Lewis MacLeod, that's Donald Trump there. Private Eye as well, yeah. That was good. That was good. Very good indeed. And whilst we're watching that, we added a new member. Very pleased to welcome back MIDI Doctors. Welcome back to the membership entourage, the Brew Crew. And Hedy and Erin have joined us in the chats as well. Easy on the flooding there, Erin. But Solidari-Tea, nice to see you. Thanks again, MIDI Doctors. Let's have a shout out to MIDI Doctors in the chat. Puts us up to 148. More comedy to come later, and you're really going to like that one as well. No spoilers. No spoilers. But now let's get into articles, clips and things. Okay, let's go, people. Are we ready?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
So we'll kick off with well, a bit of good news. Because obviously by-elections and things are some of the stories that have been going around recently. I don't know if you were aware that there was a petition going around as well. That is to make by-elections mandatory if an MP defects to another party. And we've seen quite a bit of that lately, haven't we, Mr. Jenrick? To name but one. So, where logic would say that obviously it's severely undemocratic to earn someone's vote based on one set of policies, either a party's policies or an independent's policies, but then to simply transfer them over is an insult to democracy, and it is something that should happen by default anyway. The fact that we've even got a petition for this says all you need to know about the state of British democracy, but it has surpassed 100,000 signatures. So if anybody wants to go and sign the petition, it's rare that I throw petitions out there because I'm more in favour of non-violent direct action myself. There are certain areas where petitions and so on don't really have any effect whatsoever. But should this get raised in Parliament, I believe it could get some weight behind it. There could be a lot of MPs that are sick of this happening as well. So just to read the official petition. When an MP decides they want to defect to another party, a by-election should be automatically triggered to allow the constituents the opportunity to have their democratic right to agree or not with their elected official. So go and check it out. I mean, it makes sense, you know. It's very difficult to argue against this. Perhaps only the likes of Nigel Farage might attempt to. But we'll see. Hedy, thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships. Solidari-Tea, brother. Let's update the total. $153. Thanks again, Hedy. Let's please big up Hedy in the chat, everybody. Brat, big up, big up. Represent. And remember, the more members for us, the worse news it is for Keith.
Oh, God!
Keith hates it. Keith hates it when you gift memberships and share content and hit the thumbs up button and use super stickers and super chats. He detests it. See, Keith, you're doing it right now.
Oh, no!
Right. Enough about Keith for now. You know what I'm referring to.
He's an asshole, sir.
We'll stick with a politician with a bit more quality. That is Manchester's own Zach Polanski, current leader of the Green Party, recently elected leader of the Green Party, hit the ground, not just running, not just sprinting, perhaps going straight into warp speed. This week, yeah, there's some serious, well, it's not the red shift, it's the green shift. Just referring to just a physics joke there. But no, he's been absolutely unstoppable. Unstoppable. Where to begin? Well, first of all, I want to point out that Polanski's actually a fan of the channel, you know. As you can see there, he's been responding to some of our recent comments on social media. Thank you very much. And he's had this fantastic promo video out today. I'm not just being biased because he likes our content. We've had a few likes from him in the past, actually, on Blue Sky as well. But he did a video in, it looks as though it's filmed in certain areas of Manchester and Salford, which I won't go into. And apparently it's had almost 3 million views since it came out just a few days ago. So for anybody who's not seen it, the chances are, if you're a socialist in the UK, that you've probably seen it. But if not, it's definitely worth watching again. But he's also done some boots on the ground campaigning and protesting as well to back that up. So yeah, he's really doing the rounds. He's running whites hot at the moment and seems unstoppable. Just want to point out I'm not a member of the Green Party or your party at the moment. Just like to boost socialism, socialist parties, independents, wherever they are doing well. Back them all. And I have to say, you can't help but be impressed with what Polanski's done to the Green Party since he became leader. Farage and Keith are shitting themselves. So let's check out this promotion video. Don't know how many takes they did, but he certainly got a good deal of exercise while he was doing it by the looks of things.
Why does it feel like everyone's running all the time? You are, we all are, like we can never catch a breath. Rent's up, water bill's up. You dread opening that next energy bill. And when did everything become such a luxury? Going to a cafe, reading glasses are too expensive so you squint. Even going to the dentist gets put off. So you cut back and you pick up the pace. No holiday this year. Sorry kids, living with tooth pain. You take a second job, sometimes 3, just to stay where you are. Wages stuck in 2008, prices racing ahead. You never get to see the kids, snapping at them when you do. And it's the same story all around the country. Cities, towns, villages. People working full-time, still broke. Builders building houses they'll never live in. Nurses queuing up at food banks. And we're the lucky ones, the ones with jobs. Some people can't run at all. Students buried in debt. Disabled kids denied support. Pensioners choosing which room to heat, if any. The pressure never lifts, so the rest of us run faster to help the people we love. The NHS is buckling. Our rivers are full of filth. Hopelessness sets in, and you're moving so fast, everything is just a blur. And that's when it hits you. What if the answer isn't to run faster? What if the most powerful thing we can do, all of us, all together at once, is to stop running and look around? Because the moment you stop running and really look, one thing becomes really clear. When the rest of us are killing ourselves to create wealth, and hardly any of it is coming back to our communities. It's going somewhere else, upwards to the pockets of the super rich. This isn't just an economic failure, it's a failure of leadership. The people we elected choose to serve the wealthy and not us. And yes, that is obscene. Good leaders put people before profit. They know homes are for living in, not landlords' portfolios. Energy is for warming those homes, not record dividends. And rivers are for nature and swimming in, not being poisoned to protect profits. And when we live well and we protect our environment, we don't burn out. It's how we grow. It's how our whole country grows. And yes, together, it's how we make hope normal again.
That's the clarion call. Make hope normal again. Zach Polanski of Manchester there. A lot of recognisable spots here for this channel, based in Manchester, but it's not going to go into all of that. It's the policy, it's the substance of what he's got to say that's important, and that's what I'm going to talk about. I guess I'll just play that again with the sound off whilst digest.
Why does it feel like everyone's running?
But again, the message speaks out to so many people who can associate with this. He's keeping it basic. A lot of the mainstream media and interviews try and get him distracted or caught out with issues. He's very good at bringing it back to what he wants to talk about, which is poverty, which is the wealth gap, which is the billionaires that are the real problem to our society, not the small boats, as Polanski himself has mentioned quite many times. And people are sick of it. They do feel trapped. They're working themselves to death. And I don't think he was being hyperbolic or dramatic in saying that. Because even now, people are working long hours, as Polanski pointed out, sometimes working multiple jobs just to stay exactly where they are. People aren't making progress. They're unable to save. They're unable to enjoy the fullness of life as people should be able to do, instead of grinding away just to keep a roof over your head or food on the table, whatever it is. So it's a really simple message that a lot of people can associate with, like I said, and that explains why he's doing so well in the polls. But he's not afraid to go out there and get his hands dirty either where campaigning is concerned. And this channel is also made up of non-violent direct action protesters, political and environmental campaigners. So Polanski was out front making a row about Palantir outside their offices, just the influences that they have on British politics, just how much influence money in general has on British politics. It's so obvious. I won't go through the litany of examples in how our country is being bought and sold. If you think we own this country, forget it, but we do have vehicles to be able to take it back. There are pathways that we can take to reclaim what is ours. And I don't mean in the flag-shagging reform, we want our country back sense. I mean in the democratic political power sense. And it's bizarre how you can refer to politics that's, you know, now hundreds of years old. Because as we're seeing, unfortunately, with global politics and warfare aligning, it's going back to the era of superstates and these kind of things. But financially, we're also in a similar position. The haves and the have-nots. That's well said, Zach. Let's see what you think about that in the chat. I can see quite a few of you were impressed by that, but it's difficult to argue with. Hype them, yeah, good point. Keith couldn't match that ad, and you certainly wouldn't see him down at a protest or campaigning for anything. No. He won't even go in the stands at a football game. The same way that Corbyn does, and did when he was leader of the party. Keith has like -1 imagination yet. Certainly does, Aaron. Graham Turner, nice to see you in the chat. Good evening, Solidari-Tea. Viva Viva Palestina. Have we got any current Green members in chat or watching live? Do let us know. So for anybody who didn't know, Zach's previously been, I think he's actually even been arrested at a protest with Extinction Rebellion some perhaps 5-6 years ago. I didn't get arrested at this particular protest, but here he is sticking it to Palantir. Again, take note, Keith, this is the sort of thing that we want to see. We're sick of the cut and paste politics of neoliberalism, all the suits, the dinosaurs. It's time to blow the fucking dust off this thing.
They never should have got this contract in the first place. We can't rewrite history, but what we can do is look to the future. And we say very clearly that our NHS must stay in public hands, and a huge corporation, a military surveillance corporation that is looking to create further ties with ICE in America, that shot Renee Good in cold blood in daylight. The idea that they would be involved further in our National Health Service is unthinkable. The hope in all of this grimness and dystopian is when people come out in their...
Yeah, Palantir are basically, well, what can I say, cancer. And not to obviously make fun where the NHS is concerned, but they are just leeches. They are parasites. For data, for public NHS money. It's an absolute affront. It's an absolute affront. A dystopia. A dystopia, like Zach's in the process of saying here.
Communities, when they talk to people about what's going on, when we organise what's going on, we then become unstoppable. So thank you very much. Let's keep turning up. Let's keep fighting this fight, because together we will win. Thank you.
That was the Greens, and you can see shout out, sorry I don't know the full names of the Hackney organisations clearly involved there. Here's another bit as well where he brings up the recent prescription of Pal Action as well. You probably already know that Zach's dead against it, so am I, of course, being part of Defend Our Juries and having protested against this myself.
I'm here outside Palantir HQ with Nither, who knows the hunger strikers. The reason why all these things are linked is Palantir is complicit, more than complicit, active enabling in the genocide in Gaza. Now, the hunger strikers are a group of people who were standing with Palestine Action. They were arrested for holding cardboard signs that literally said, "I support Palestine Action, I oppose genocide," and they have been kept in prison. Now, this country is really clear about who is allowed to be held in detention without trial, and there is a set amount of months, between 6 and 8 months. They are due to be held for up to 20 months, January 2027 at the earliest. This is completely unacceptable.
Yeah. Some of these are friends of mine. I wasn't arrested at any of the DOJ protests that I've been to, but a good deal of my friends have. And it's just unbelievable. Not just the waste of police time, the affront to democracy, the whole farce that the prescription was in the first place. And we're talking about elderly people and disabled people being dragged away as well. There's people from all scopes of society, but the Met are happy to do that just to please Yvette Cooper or Shabana Mahmood, who's now overseeing Cooper's initial policy.
Now, it's often noticed that any time that there is a jury, very often they will find people who are standing against the genocide or indeed a climate protester as not guilty. Often they will say things like, "This isn't particularly convenient, we don't like how you're campaigning, but actually weighing what's going on, we want you to go free." This government, in one of the most cynical moves possible, is both holding them without trial and abolishing jury trials.
Yeah, so you've got the abolition of jury trials, including for cases such as these. That's Lammy's, of Lammy's devising. Completely, again, unjustified, unprogressive, anti-progressive, draconian. On top of that, you also have the very fact that prisoners had to literally starve themselves until they were at death's door, some of them for over 70 days. For over 70 days, without even a whiff of a mention from the government, who turn their noses up. These are British citizens, by the way. And they did eventually end the hunger strike when some of their demands were met, which was good to see. Demands concerning Elbit licence systems, contracts to send death showers to Gaza, and there have been further demonstrations outside other Elbit factories this week as well. So, talk about a shit sandwich, but if you just replace the bread with more shit, that's pretty much what the whole legislation, the reaction to the protests, and it's so, you know, there are protests about the protests, and now it's almost a three-tier thing, with the abolition of the jury trials as well. So we're now seeing people protesting about defend our juries, who are protesting about PAL action being prescribed, who are protesting about the genocide in Gaza. What a country.
And that's why it's really important we uplift the voices both of the hunger strikers and indeed Umar Khalid, who is still on hunger strike, and defend our juries, because this is deeply dystopian and requires everyone to speak out against it, to end the genocide and to stand in solidarity with peaceful protests, and to say non-violent direct action is an urgent and vital part of our British democracy.
It is, and we're going to be speaking about some more non-violent direct action later on as well, because people are stepping up to this. This just will not stand. It will not stand. In terms of democracy, in terms of justice, in terms of our hard-fought, given right to protest, the very basic freedoms of speech that previous generations suffered so much for, just to get us. And it is good to see mainstream politicians like Zach speaking the truth. very difficult to argue with that. I can see one or two of you in the chat. You're not Green members, but you do vote Green. Same here, voted Green at the last general election. In fact, for my friend Vicky, who recently passed, so raising a glass of Solidari-Tea. So in the last general and local elections, in fact, I voted for the Green Party, but I'm not a member. I don't mind disclosing that. See something about watermelons being removed in the charts, is that right? Hope not. But some Palestine flags coming through. Solidarity for those. What did you make of Zach's appearance, Keith?
Oh no.
Down in the polls a little bit more. Speaking of polls, make sure that you've voted in the one that we've got here, but we are going to go into that topic next, the by-election in Gorton and Denton. Hypothetically, who do you think would win? Would it be Labour with Burnham, the Green Party with Polanski, Reform with some arsehole, possibly Zia Youssef, or the Workers' Party of Britain with Galloway? Right, so I'll bring up the poll first. And this did come out yesterday. This was before certain people said, well, I'll have a go, I might have a go. Polanski included. But it all surrounds this, which is the Labour MP who stepped down. Just get this up and then the poll. So he thinks the constituents of Denton and Gorton are just going to be cool. Yeah, okay. Let's just be pawns to this obvious attempt to supplant, purge Keir Starmer. One Blair Wright trying to overthrow another. You're getting some early hints here. I'm not exactly raving about Burnham. But they're not going to be too happy about that, I don't think. So here's what's happening, first of all. Let's bring the window up. Reveal, there it is. So that's Andrew Gwynn, and he's announced he's standing down, potentially paving the way for Andy Burnham to potentially run in a by-election in his Gorton and Denton constituency. In a statement, Gwynn said he had suffered significant ill health and had been advised by his GP that it wasn't safe for him to return to work as an MP. Not sure if that's legitimate or just somewhat convenient. Speaking earlier, Burnham did not rule out such a challenge, but said people shouldn't rush to conclusions, adding he was very focused on his role of selling Manchester off to the highest bid as mayor. Although I guess on some transport he's been okay. But we want to see less homelessness and less gentrification. Anyway, the departure from the House of Commons will trigger a by-election. And they won it with a majority of 13,000 last time, Labour. So that is a pretty significant majority. We'll soon might potentially be able to overturn it in a moment with this poll. That's the results. Reform came second, Greens were in third with 14% and 13% respectively, roughly. Workers' Party Britain shortly behind there with 10.3%. But he's been pressed for an answer, I guess. He's trying to keep it low-key, but is this exactly what he wants behind closed doors? In the past, I've ruled out even entertaining the idea because of these hurdles he'd have to get through. But people have been going on about it for years, for at least a few years. Other parties have come out and said, well, Farage says, well, we don't give a fuck what Farage says. Lisa Smart of the Lib Dems, who won't win it either, said people in Gorton and Denton and across the country deserve so much better than this endless soap opera. A Green Party spokesperson said that they were prepped and ready to go for any future by-election. They are. The Greens are polling very well in a lot of areas of Manchester at the moment, including Rusholme, several other areas turning green. Most of you think that Polanski could walk it, judging by the polls. 71% of you at the moment. If Polanski stood. But this being an obvious move against Starmer, there is going to be some pushback from this from government. In fact, I believe Keith's already rallying team together to try and do something about this, because he crapped his pants, potentially, when he found out.
Oh, God.
Seeing as his poll ratings are absolutely through the floor. So, as happened before the general election, he could be looking to parachute bootlickers in, Starmerites, to potentially block this. Or you could perhaps see two Labour candidates on the ballot, on the same paper. Who knows? But Starmer will have some reaction to this, I'm almost certain.
Oh, God.
So that's the, yeah. That's the preface. Let's see what the poll says. One of the latest polls. You can see a pretty clear three-horse race there. But in terms of swing, all three of them are heading in pretty clear directions. First of all, with Labour, who currently have the seats, they'd be down 22.9%. With Reform gaining 13.4%, that'd bring them just 0.4% behind Labour. The Greens, you can see there as well, doing significantly well on 25.6, a gain of 12.5%. Uh, 9% bar those. So for any of you who haven't voted in the poll that we've got in the chats, I don't know if this might influence your decision. Just bearing in mind, I'll remind you this was done before Zach Polanski said he might potentially sit and Galloway popped his head above the parapet. Would you lend me your votes just one more time? I'm so loyal to Baton Spen or Rochdale or wherever it is I'm sitting this time. Gorton and Denson. But yeah, and I don't know why there might be any excitement about this. Perhaps anyone who's still unbelievably clinging to any hope of democratic socialism coming from Labour anytime this decade. But it's almost a like-for-like swap. But they do have some... Well, Burnham stood in the leadership contest the same year as Corbyn and obviously didn't win. This is before he became mayor. But then... sorry. But it could be also to do with the fact that Starmer, now that he's undermined Corbyn and whatnot, got himself shadily into the position as leader and become Prime Minister. But they do disagree on some issues as well. Burnham defiantly froze bus fares in Manchester when Starmer increased them by at least 50% elsewhere in the country. But he did, that is Burnham, vote for the country to invade Iraq. Here he is in, well, you can see it for yourselves, that publication there, whose name I shan't utter. Yeah, similarly with Starmer writing for the same publication now. These are the things that you need to know. Blairites both, but a sort of internal rivalry going on there. Burnham will, as he always has, played down his ambitions. We know that he has ambitions to become the leader because he stood as the leader and perhaps isn't willing to just rest on his laurels as Mayor of Manchester for too long. So don't forget, people. And that picture was taken quite a while ago. Oh, just in case I forgot to mention, just a certain internal Labour faction that he's also a part of. The same one that Emily Thornberry is a part of. In fact, they've shared platforms together under the internal banner of Labour Friends of Israel. Yeah. So that perhaps tells you all that you need to know about Burnham.
He's an asshole too, sir. Gun is made first class Philip asshole.
We'll leave that topic there for now, but do keep voting in the poll if you haven't done already. Polanski's still well in the lead on 69%, everyone's favourite number. Burnham in second, no votes for some arsehole from Reform or Galloway of Workers' Party of Britain. I did say we would keep up with what's going on in your party as well, being totally biased towards the Greens. as undeniably well as Polanski is doing at the moment. Like I said earlier, we'll see if your party can pick up the pace, get a leader selected, and maybe score a few points on the polls themselves. So just a quick information filler for anybody who didn't know where the party itself is concerned. There are two rival slates now that have opened up between Jeremy Corbyn, whose slate is called The Many, and Zara Sultana, whose slate is called The Left. We're going to see a couple of quick clips here, and then a longer one, which is a sort of official promo for the Many slate. You'll have to forgive me, I've not come across one, if there is one out there at the moment, for the Left slate. Again, for anyone who's not a regular viewer, I'm a fan of both Corbyn and Sultana. It's kind of bizarre to see them in competition, the same way it was, obviously, to see them having those fallouts and whatnot. I do support them both individually, and I was very excited when the concept of your party came out, and it's something that I want to work. I think that in tandem with what Polanski is doing at the moment, it can be very effective if they can both reach an agreement on how to effectively select candidates and whatnot, but I don't want to get off on a side tangent about that. Let's see some pissing clips, starting with Corbyn on Peston. Peston, ITV wanker.
Interconnectivity in the world that is absolutely essential. Look at the supply of oil.
I'll sort of explain a bit what he's on about. Actually, the chap you can see on your screen, whose name escapes him at the moment, is actually former head of MI6, you see, because where environmental matters are concerned, the military do actually come into this. I've shared clips with you before, as well as economic matters and a multitude of things, but you can see him clearly nodding away there, and this is supposed to be, some absolute establishment former MI6 chief nodding away in complete agreement. There we go. I'll start that again from the beginning. Now that you've got that context, just fill you in on all of that.
The interconnectivity in the world that is absolutely essential. Look at the supply of oil, look at the supply of raw materials, look at the supply of rare earths and everything else. Not one of the four big entities, USA, China, Russia, or the European Union, has any of these things in abundance. The USA possibly more than most. They actually rely very heavily on Africa and Latin America for those supplies. Yeah. What we're looking at is almost...
And isn't it funny, people, how capitalism works so well that they have to go and thieve socialist fossil fuels all the fucking time?
19th century imperial powers squabbling over bits and pieces in the rest of the world. Surely what we need is an era of cooperation to recognise the environmental and human problems and human inequalities that face this world.
Yeah, particularly the global south, who contributed the least to climate change, will actually be the ones who suffer the first. And there are some other extremities as well. For example, in Greenland, which has been a hot topic recently as well. Of course, the Arctic is heating up 4 to 7 times faster than the average, than the rest of the planet. So the global south will suffer the most. A lot of island states will simply disappear, a lot of small island states, but they don't have the economies to combat climate change, which is something that's come up at a lot of COP meetings. I say a lot of COP meetings recently, which just about says it all, because we've just had the 30th, what we did last year, and talk about pissing in the wind. The global west is essentially, the global north is essentially leaving the global south like sitting ducks where climate change is concerned. And collectively speaking, we in the northern hemisphere are the ones most responsible for this, the countries in the northern hemisphere. But it does bring so many other matters into it as well.
Shouldn't we stop looking at the thing from the point of view of potential war and start look at the thing from the potential of a more peaceful future? I'm terrified that none of the governments seem to be putting any effort into rebuilding the UN, any effort into funding the UN, or funding overseas aid. They're all into weapons.
Yeah, well, we can argue about the efficacy of the United Nations for holding war criminals to account, until the sun comes up or the cows come home, whichever happens last. That's for the birds. The general consensus, like Corbyn's saying for as a great advocate for peace, is that if we directed the same amount of effort towards peace, solving global hunger, all of these issues, as we do currently towards war, with the massive increases of GDP for so-called defence throughout Europe and obviously in the States, Poland in Europe currently leading the way with a whopping chunk of the GDP spent on defence. The UK specifically wanting to get somewhere between 5 and 3% within the next few years or so. And we've said so many times how all the billionaires in the world could solve world hunger without it affecting the lifestyle. But the same goes for governments. We almost run out of metaphors of the bottomless pits of money for war, but turning the pockets out when it comes to the NHS, housing, environment, fighting the climate collapse was the mass effort there. So well said from Corbyn on Peston. There was also this is a really short clip, but this was going around social media earlier. Hope you enjoy this one. I don't know the context of the conversation, but basically he was asked if he would support Keir Starmer and the government on their version of whatever it is that they were talking about, but his response is concisely excellent. I'm sure that you'll agree. Might play this a couple of times, to be honest. I don't know if you've seen it. But considering he's talking, they're referring to the person who stabbed him in the back before the last general election. Don't be surprised by the reaction that they got.
Jeremy, do you fancy defending the Prime Minister?
No, not really.
No, not really.
Jeremy, do you fancy defending the Prime Minister?
No, not really.
Me neither, Jez. No, not at all. Not on hardly anything, to be honest, at the moment. That's a good one. That might be a keeper for inserts and stuff. But let's see what his slate's about, just bringing it back around to this internal leadership election. So they've thrown the hat into the ring with Jeremy Corbyn leading the many slate. Let's see what they've got to say.
The last 6 months have been difficult, but now we have a chance to turn things around because your party is about to elect its first leadership team. And we have a choice. Do we take the fight to Starmer and Farage or fight each other? Are we a party for the people or a party for ourselves?
When your party was first announced, hundreds of thousands of people were excited at the prospect of a mass party that could challenge for real change, not a fringe party scrapping at the margins.
They saw the potential for the broad alliance, forged by the energy of the pro-Palestinian movement and the deep anger at the Starmer's Labour, but that alliance has been damaged. It needs repair.
That's why we are launching The Many, a campaign to build that mass left party that can bring about real change.
Our approach has 3 pillars. We will win people to our cause by campaigning tirelessly on issues that matter to them, from sky-high bills to the housing crisis and the NHS privatisation.
We will mend our cross-community coalition by focusing on what unites us, not what drives us apart.
Restoring trust in the left where it has been broken.
And we will build our base by organising in working class communities. This has to work. We owe it to the millions abandoned by Labour, struggling to make ends meet, to everyone horrified at the government's complicity in genocide, and to all those on the sharp end of far-right racism.
Let's unite on a socialist platform committed to putting wealth and power in the hands of the majority, not the billionaires and corporations.
From the picket line to the ballot box, this party can rise to the moment. So sign up today.
And together, we will build a party for the many.
So that slogan obviously used by Labour under Corbyn's leadership during the 2019 election. For the many, not the few. Bit of a callback there. That's the address for their slate if you want to find out more. They've thrown their hat into the ring. Once again, apologies if there is an official release for Zara's Hotel and slate. I will play that on the next stream. But let me know what you thought about that in the chat, people. Got some music or something? Okay. So that was new, yeah, that came out yesterday, I think. But they will have to get a shift on if they're going to catch Polanski up. Seriously. We'll come on to something that's perhaps a bit hastier than parliamentary politics a bit later in the stream. But that's how Jeremy Corbyn and your party want to try and gain back more democracy for the country. And I'll just finish off with a quick look at... I'll finish off that subject with a quick look at this poll, even. Sorry, I forgot how to talk. It is sort of relative to Corbyn and Polanski and everything. We reported recently how Corbyn's seat itself in Islington North could be under threat. By the Green Party, that is. And there's a poll that takes a look at London seats in total. You can see that that's not an isolated incident, people. Just bring this one up for you when the page loads. Yeah, I tripped over my tongue there. Need more tea for mouth sustenance, whatever. Okay, I think it's loaded now. It's another one from Stats for Lefties. There's no map or layout. It's just a response to one of the... well, it was a a question in one of the comments about a UK-wide poll. Just bring this up now. Someone asked how this would affect London seats, and I'll zoom and enhance. You can see there a significant lead of 7 points for the Greens over Reform. Look at that. Would you ever have thought in your wildest dreams that the Labour Party could only garner 6 seats? 6 seats in London in a general election. That's what the polls say. So, a massive lead for the Greens there. This will be unprecedented. Good to see they're keeping a lid on Reform as well. Tories down to 12 seats. But look at that, Labour on 6. That's one of the most damning polls in terms of seats that I've ever seen. Since July of 24, that is. So that is good news. I approve. I approve. Make this happen, Londoners. Make this happen. I won't have a horse in this race, but I'm sure that a lot of our viewers will. The Polanski wave rides high in the capital, people. Okay, we'll skip on to a different topic now.
Socialists. Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the aftermath of Davos and the World Economic Forum. Last time I was on stream with you good people, Trump had made his initial speech in Davos prior to the announcement of the Gaza Peace Board. Please do check out the latest video release on the channel if you want to see our initial 2 cents on that one. But yes, made up of some absolute ghouls. As we said on that recent video, won't be surprised if the likes of certain other tyrants and ne'er-do-wells start to appear and sign up. For example, you have Henry Kissinger. You never know. Maybe Henry might want in on some of that action, or perhaps big mouthful, Aerys Targaryen, second of his name, King of the Andals, and the Rhaenyra, and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm. Maybe he might want in on some of the action, I don't know. But the UK have declined. I'll go into that in a moment. Before we do, other nations have so far righteously declined. I think so far 20 countries have signed up, and you know we're talking about Javier Milei of Argentina, these kind of people, this kind of crowd. So Spain obviously having a much more sensible head on their shoulders, officially recognising the state of Palestine and officially embargoing trade with Israel, etc., recognising the genocide and so on and so forth. Give a really good demonstration here, don't worry. You don't have to brush up on your Spanish, there are subtitles, but giving a really good demonstration of how you properly, formally reject this offer before we go on to take a look at Keith's paltry efforts.
Hoy he querido trasladar a los colegas del Consejo Europeo el que el Gobierno de España ha decidido no participar a la llamada Junta de Paz. Agradecemos la invitación, pero declinamos el participar en esa junta propuesta por la Administración estadounidense. Lo hacemos sobre todo y fundamentalmente por coherencia, por una política consistente que hemos venido desplegando por parte del Gobierno de España, también cuando hablamos del futuro de los palestinos y de las palestinas. Y por tanto lo hacemos en coherencia e inconsistencia con nuestro compromiso con el orden multilateral, con el sistema de Naciones Unidas y con el derecho internacional.
Yeah, Trump essentially thinks he can create a new phony United Nations. He thinks this will somehow win him a legitimate Nobel Peace Prize, whatever that's fucking worth these days, because he had to force someone into giving them theirs last time around. But it just won't wash. It's, you know, how obviously fake can you get? People aren't going to buy this. People aren't going to swallow this. The United Nations aren't going to stand for this or recognise it as an official body whatsoever. It's just the lone nuthouse club with Donald Trump as chairman of the board. Just because he wants to be chairman of something, he has to create the bullshit board itself so that he can head it and just fill it up with cretins, miscreants, war criminals. They're a right fucking rum lot.
Y es evidente que esta Junta está fuera del marco de Naciones Unidas y, por cierto, no ha incluido a la autoridad palestina. El futuro de Gaza y también de Cisjordania, no nos olvidemos, el futuro en su conjunto de Palestina debe dirimirlo los palestinos. Y también el futuro de su coexistencia pacífica y segura con Israel deben dirimirlo fundamentalmente Israel y Palestina en un proceso dialogado que implemente la solución de los dos estados, que permita la entrada de la ayuda humanitaria y que, por supuesto, garantice la paz entre ambos.
Yeah, and if it wasn't abundantly clear just that this is a land grab sell-off that Trump's going for with his plan for Gaza, this awful, it's just like the worst cheese nightmare you've ever had, the most atrocious open plan for genocide that's ever been displayed since Netanyahu's last appearance at the UN. I should asterisk point out footnote. But the lack of Palestinian representation just shows you how phony and fake this whole thing is. How Gaza, the Palestinian population, is the least of Trump's concerns, and everybody else who's signed up so far. Not even a whiff of a mention of anyone from the Palestinian Authority getting on board. Certainly you won't see anyone from Hamas being represented there either, but you've got Vladimir Putin. You've got Tony Blair. Yeah.
Entre ambos países. Esto, evidentemente, implica que España va a continuar trabajando y comprometida en un proceso de paz en el que llevamos trabajando 30 años Y lo vamos a seguir haciendo junto con otros muchos socios europeos, también del conjunto de la comunidad internacional, fortaleciendo las misiones en las que ya estamos, garantizando la ayuda humanitaria y apostando por la reconstrucción, la estabilización y la seguridad de Israel y también, por supuesto, del pueblo de Palestina.
Excellent. Muy bien, I believe, is the correct phrase I'm looking for, but those are all of the points that should be brought up when refusing as politely as you can. I'd rather that he would have put it the same way that that Greenland representative did the other year. But we're going to take a look at Keir Starmer's effort now. And it just shows how weak he is and ignorant to the plight of Palestinians, which the Spanish brought up several times. That's their focus, the reconstruction of Gaza, the legitimate reconstruction of Gaza, not turning it into a fucking nightmare theme park on a mass grave. But the only reason that Keith can come up with is that Putin's now officially on board. They did initially decline because Putin hadn't made his mind up yet. They didn't want to enter and then have Putin join later. So now that he has, that is the single solitary reason. Single solitary reason, no mention of the fact that it is absolute bullshit in the first place as an organisation. But no mention of Palestine. No mention of Gazans.
Putin being on a board of peace. He is waging war on a European country. And as we sit here...
what's happening as we sit here, Keith, in Gaza, where this is concerned? So, that's the topic. Gaza's the topic. But no, I'm going to hop on about Gaza. About fucking Ukraine. That we're pouring money into, of course, the industrial military complex. He's going hyper with this, where our country is concerned. He's been given a good opportunity to talk about how Gazans are suffering.
They're raining down bombs on Ukraine. It's minus 20. 60% of the energy in Kyiv is gone, and people are having to put tents up.
60. Oh, 60. Well, poor them. Raining down bombs. Where else is that happening? Perhaps somewhere that's in the subject of the question that's been put to you. But no, Putin. That's all that they've said. That's all that Yvette Cooper's said as well. Shabana Mahmood. Can also add her to that list. And that was a far cry from what Spain had to say. It was terrible.
Pathetic!
Sir Keith the Week. What's it going to lead to? We're going to have a UN standoff against some rabble that Trump's going to put together with, God, there's going to be all sorts of private security slush money going on here as well. Potentially even the US Army standing off against UN troops. Also no mentioning Starmer's rejection of the fact that this is legally, Mr. Former Director of Public Prosecutions, just go into a country and say we're going to absolutely fundamentally restructure everything in this abhorrent, vulgar fashion just because we want to. You couldn't script it, you couldn't make it up. Except that that awful... Do you remember the awful AI Gaza Strip video that he put out last year, or was it potentially the year before? Because he's had plans for a while now. That could be nothing compared to the actual plans. But it was put to him, you know. Apparently it's about $1 billion a slice. That's what this sell-off auction opening bid is at the moment. Whatever a slice gets you. But a reporter, looks as though they were on, I'm not sure if it's Air Force One, some jet. But asked where the money's going to go to, and if it's going to go to Gaza. And Trump dances, or tries to dance around this question like fucking Fred Astaire.
It's going to be close to 100%. Yeah, Steve, you tell us back to the...
There's a lot of engine noise, by the way, just so you know. Hope you can pick it out.
For the peace, some of the countries are, I think the permanent members contributed $1 billion. What is that money supposed to be for Gaza?
So we said people are contributing $1 billion. Is that supposed to be for Gaza? Very direct question.
They put up $1 billion. Some of the countries have already put up much more than that. What's that money for? I mean, that's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to the value of peace.
It's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to the value of peace. Mr. Ceasefire, Mr. Bullshit Ceasefire, doesn't know the meaning of peace. He's probably just, again, trying to push for next year's Nobel Prize. He's going to fail again. That's as insulting a statement as you'll ever hear.
Peace is so destructive for everyone, even countries that aren't involved. I mean, it's so destructive for everybody.
Peace is destructive. I don't know if you knew that, people, but peace is destructive now, apparently. MIDI Doctor's Year gets held in a Trump trust fund in Miami. All that slush. Slushy, slushy, slush money. That is Air Force One. Yeah, thanks for the confirmation. I'm in there right now, actually, in one of these. Not found me yet. This is well, I should give myself away. Thanks for that, Big Rackled. Hope you're well this eve. So where were we? Yes, peace is destructive, even for countries that aren't involved. Whatever that's supposed to mean. So he's not going to say where it's going. It's going right there, right in the pockets. Right in the pockets. Do you know that he's acquired more personal wealth since he took office than all of the previous presidents of the United States combined? And then some. So all of the previous presidents combined is a fraction of how much he's extended his personal wealth while he's in office. Now, some of them have set themselves up quite well for after they leave office, of course, but indirectly just saying, I'm having all of this and all the rest of it. He's by far and away, the most corrupt person that's ever sat in the Oval Office, and there have been some right shits in that seat. So let's just go over that again, just from the question.
For Gaza, have already put up $1 billion. Some of the countries have already put up much more.
Where's it going?
I mean, that's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to the value of peace. Peace is so destructive for everyone, even countries that aren't.
Can you see? I assume is that Kristi Noem sort of lurking out of the side there. Is that in case he goes in into full-blown visceral mode, and then she has to step in? The mouth of Sauron will step forward. I think what the president's trying to say is, because he's not all there, you know. He's not all there. He never was, he never will be. Unless all there is in an absolute fucking cesspit. Get that pumpkin spice Palpatine off my screen. A good point there, Square Peg. Peace is destructive. That's why the world has only ever seen 36 minutes of it. Yeah. For half an hour or so. No global conflicts. So this little clip came across our desk as well. See if you can spot the very discreet reaction here. So this is in court actually, where the January 6th insurrection came up, and the MAGA head on the stand making an obviously false statement that Donald Trump apparently had nothing to do with the insurrection on January 6th. But this particular part concerns one of the police officers who was injured during the insurrection, who was actually present, and had a very, as I said, very, very discreet reaction to this.
I would like to quickly address the police officers of January 6th. Mr. Dunn, Mr. Fanone, Mr. Gonell, Mr. Hodges. I'm a member of the new select committee to actually examine what happened that day. And I can tell you, gentlemen, that the fault does not lie with Donald Trump. They had the intelligence, and there was going to be a high propensity for violence at
Just one more time.
And I can tell you, gentlemen, that the fault does not lie with Donald Trump. They had the intelligence, and there was...
So that's the officer that they're speaking about there. Not impressed. He's not impressed.
They had the intelligence. And
I don't know if he got away with that. I don't know if he got away with it or not.
There was going to be a high propensity for violence.
Just thought I'd throw that one your way. Thought it might bring a wry smile during all the doom and gloom. Couldn't quite make that out. You'll just have to interpret that for yourselves. I'll say two things officially. I don't know what he said, and but I heartily approve. All right, got another clip from someone who features regularly in the Comedy Guys, but recently in a more serious sense, having been on the Samud Flotilla, for example. Great Irish comedian and campaigner Tadhg Hickey. As we get into a bit of a sort of a plug and promotion part of the live stream, starting with something that Tadhg Hickey wants to share with you first, and then something else, as I said earlier on, concerning something a bit more direct than the usual politics within the UK. But first of all, this, and if any of our Irish viewers are watching, then I'd beg you take heed. Perhaps you might want to check out this stage show, which is coming from Palestine. Well, I'll let Ty do the explaining.
Hi guys, anybody who knows or cares about me would know that I would never recommend anybody going to Dublin under any circumstances, unless it's a very, very special occasion. And that special occasion is coming at the end of this month, from the 26th to the 31st of January, at the Project Art Centre in good old Dear Dirty Dublin. There is a festival on, I think it's one of a kind actually. It's called Seachtain Saoirse Dun Palestine, and it is an inimitable celebration of Palestinian culture, art, theatre, comedy, not just from Palestinians, which would be enough now, to be fair, not just from Palestinians in Ireland, but the Freedom Theatre in Jenin refugee camp in occupied Palestine. That's a cultural institute of extraordinary merit and esteem in Palestine. They're under all sorts of oppression, as you can imagine, over the last couple of years. Their premises has been ransacked by the most moral army in the world. Well, a couple of mad jokes in Ireland have invited 18 of those Palestinian artists over to Ireland for 1 week only. Guys, this is the moment for the pro-Palestine community in Ireland. If you're going to go to anything, go to this. Book your tractors, your coaches, your vans, your buses. Be careful in Dublin. I've experienced it myself. They do try and keep you there. Make sure you've something organised. I'll come up and get you. I'll come up and get you out of there. But please go to this event. Sami Abu Warda, an extraordinarily talented comedian, is doing his show there, critically acclaimed. Get your tickets, ticket link below. If you're one of these people on the right who's going to post underneath this going, oh yeah, what about the homeless in Ireland, oh? What about Sharia law? You're bringing Sharia law to Ireland? Yes, please give me those comments. I love them. That usually kind of promotes the actual video, and hopefully we'll sell more tickets. Peace and love, free Palestine, Chuck Yarla, up the ra, how's your dad?
I think the video froze at the end there, sorry about that. But yeah, I've put a link to Tadhg Hickey's social media in the description of this stream, which I think you can get the link that he was referring to from. So do check out his page as well, and a lot of his other content. Like I said, one of the brave people on the Samud flotilla who was kidnapped by the IDF. A very compassionate and funny individual as well. Someone I'm always happy to feature on the show. Okay, people. Just got some buffering here. Hope I'm coming through to you. All right, let me know in the chat. But YouTube Studio says we're buffering. And it's gone. Yeah, sorry, the video was doing weird things there. Strange things afoot. Everything's taken care of though. It's one of the best IT teams in live streaming here on My Left Eye. Coming through clear. I think we are. So just a reminder, the link to Ty's page is in the description of the stream. But I do have another plug now. Just get these dates up. Dates for the diary, people. heard about the awesome sounding live show going to Dublin. This is here in the UK, something I'm very pleased to be involved with myself. Take Back Power. You saw some clips from the official launch in London last weekend, including Miriam Francois' speech, which is available as a separate video. Definitely worth checking out, people, as well as additional content which was on last Sunday's Sunday live stream as well. Some great spokes there that you should definitely check out. But I've got some dates for your diaries here as well, people, if you want to find out more about what it's all about. I'll do an abridged version of what Take Back Power is all about. Like I said, do check out the previous content as well as the website. You'll find a link in the description for this as well if you want to know more. But essentially replacing the House of Lords with a Citizens' House, a people's-led house, as well as proper taxation on billionaires and generally standing up to fascism and genocide around the world. But there's so much more to it. And if you want to find out what it's all about, you can go to takebackpower.net. Like I said, there's a link down there in the description. Just go through a few of these dates for you, though. I'm going to skip over socials and things like that. But if you are in London, and I know this is short notice, but in so 11 hours, whatever, Who We Are introduction training is taking place in London. So check out the site if you want to find out more about that. That's in SW9, London. Anyone who's around, you never know. I'll skip through a few of these. There's an open volunteer meeting in Exeter on Thursday, if anybody is in Exeter. And here in Manchester, just finally, a week tomorrow, there's an introduction training course. So feel free to check out the website if you want to find out more. If you're in Manchester, you never know. We might bump into yours truly. Like I said, I won't go through other social dates and everything, but the full calendar is there on the website, plus a sign-up sheet at the bottom. Lots more information to this new organisation, which officially launched in London. Hundreds of people were there as well, which was awesome to see. And this is a non-violent direct action organisation. In fact, when it was first announced, getting off with quite a bang. You might remember the Crown Jewels incident with the custard and crumble. That was the opening stunt. In fact, one of the people who carried out that stunt was at the launch as well. One of the spokes, in fact. Alright, so that's the plugs. There's, like I said, some stuff coming up at the weekend next week. Always lots going on in terms of people power. Let us know if you've been to any protests or similar things recently. Time for the next comedy clip now, I think, people. Like I said, you will like this one. I enjoyed it. It's kind of retro parody for an old 1980s American soap opera. Well, that's the theme tune, I'm informed. A soap opera called Dallas, surrounding a wealthy oil family. But it's a great one from Led by Donkeys. It's fresh out today, in fact. So I don't know if you've seen this one or not yet. So this will be Led by Donkeys and the so-called Board of Peace.
This board is completely formed, we can do pretty much whatever we want to do.
Led by Donkeys, marvellous as always. Great work. There's a link for Led by Donkeys in the description of the stream as well. We've got a Dallas fan in the chat as well, Doc Davies. You like a bit of Dallas? Was it an 80s show? And you know, it's funny because it's true. All those people are on the board. Even if this thing hadn't been announced and this parody came out, people would, you know, like, oh yeah, you could see that happening. Lo and behold. First it looked as though Blair wasn't going to be on it. First he was, then he wasn't, and now he properly is. He's signed up and everything. So yeah, it's kind of backdoor representation from the UK, even though Starmer has rejected it based on this Putin principle. Still, his idol, Tony Blair, is in there. And don't tell me he's not still got his fingers on the strings of the Labour Party. I won't believe that for 1 second. But his, you know, because Starmer has turned it down because of Putin, Tony's just come along as, I don't care. Where do I sign? Where do I sit? I'm Tony fucking Blair. You can't talk to me about morals. I don't think he's going to weapons of mass destruction his way out of an excuse for this one. He's practically pushing people out of the way. I want to sign up first. Tony Blair.
He's an asshole too, sir. Gun is made first class Philip asshole.
But moving on from Gaza to Greenland, one of the other current victims of Trumpery. But something positive. Do you remember on the last stream we saw that great video from Demon Flying Fox, the AI, and I do have to stress CGI AI generated, just in case we get comments or whatever, in case it's not abundantly clear that walruses and polar bears can't operate semi-automatic weaponry or drive fucking pickup trucks. But yeah, another great video with a catchy tune has come out. We'll listen to this one, and I'm going to actually replay the one that played yesterday before we finished your stream, because it's quite a catchy tune, quite like it. But we'll start with this one, which is new, or it might be just new to me. There are subtitles again, and I do stress, in case it's not abundantly obvious, this is CGI, AI, whatever you want to call it. It isn't real.
Promise so grand and easy or hard way to take our land. The shadow fell heavy on the sacred white. Ate the sun and swallowed the light. The hunter spoke to the bear in the frost. If I fall, tell my kin that the land isn't lost. The bear answered low. If I fall in the fight, tell my cubs I stood for what is right. All souls united on the ice today. This land is ours and it stays this way. What comes unasked will not remain. He wants to own, but we're not the same. When the eagle is dust, our people will tell. The GDF held and we did not sell. There from shore to hill, from near to far, Greenland defense front, we know who we are. The giant brings a hunger that no whale can fill, wants to bend all collected to his iron will, but the cold is buried louder men and never spoke their names again. All souls united on the ice today. This land is ours and it stays this way. What comes unasked will not remain. He wants to own what he cannot tame. When the eagle is dust, our people will tell. The GDF held and we did not sell. The GDF held and we did not sell.
It did not sell. It did not sell. Nice tune. Let's just see some of the gang there. You can see a smoking polar bear there. We saw some pretty tough looking walruses on the other video, which I'm going to be playing again shortly. But you can see he's back. He's nails, and he's got a lot of friends this time around. So you wouldn't want to mess with these guys. Absolute mustard. Really good video. What do you think about that, people? Let me know in the chat. I quite like the lyrics too, as well, of course.
I don't know if anyone's into poetry.
So, in fact, let's give another shout out to the members. Yeah, I'll queue up a raid, but stay put, people, because I'm going to play the other tune as a sort of outro on the stream. A double musical ending. thanks again all the members. Thanks for the gifted memberships on tonight's stream as well. Really appreciate those. Super chats and super stickers are still open if you're watching live. There's also a Buy Me a Coffee page if you're watching back later on. Super thanks are also open. Do double check that you've hit thumbs up on the stream. Thank you very much everybody for all of your support. I'll add all of the members that we got from the gifted memberships this evening to that roster. Thank you very much, Brew Crew. And do stay put, because there's more quality content to come.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Aside from Al Jazeera, there's not really anything to read into. There's an upcoming Navarra stream on Monday. That's a bit long if you want to go and sit and wait for that one to start. Unless anyone can quickly recommend any channel that I might be able to find that allows raids, that is, of course. That's mandatory. And I can leave that open until the end of the stream, I guess. But it's actually getting a lot closer in the poll. If anybody hasn't voted yet, there's still a few more moments for you to vote in the poll. 43% of you now think that Labour could win it with Burnham, 52% for Polanski, 5% possibly some arsehole from Reform, but no votes for Galloway. Still a few moments to go. And that is political streams as recommendations to raid into, not a sort of live what was it, a 24-hour live webcam of something quite unanimated and bland. I can't remember what it was. Like a road crossing or something. Keep it political with the suggestions. But thank you very much for the 10 gifted memberships there. Hey, fun! Awesome stuff, what a great way to get towards the end of the stream, taking us on to 163. Big up please in the chat please everybody. And also big up Graham Turner with a super chat there. Thanks for joining us on stream, you're very welcome. As always, Solidarity, Viva Palestina. Thank you very much, Solidarity, for those contributions. Really do appreciate that. Good way to kick off the weekend here on My Left Eye. Alright, so barring any other suggestions for raids, I will close the poll. Final moments, but it's still relatively close, but the stream must come to an end, I'm afraid, and we end it there. So Zach Polanski was the victor with 52%, 9% over Burnham's 43%, and then just 5% think Reform. Not a jot for Galloway. So that's bad news for Starmer in Gorton and Denton.
Oh, God.
Alright people, I'll be back with the Sunday live stream. Do join us there, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future content on the channel. For now this evening, all that remains is for me to thank you for joining us on the Brews at 10 on my left eye. I've been your host Lefty. You've been wonderful. Power to the people, free Palestine, Sudan, Yemen, Lebanon and the Fulton 24, and don't let the buggers grind you down. Good night everybody. Solidarity.
Oh, ancient land of ice and stone, Kalala no not forever our home. A hungry giant wants to take our shore to drink the oil and eat the ore. Now hear the Kalala go through the deep and awake every soul from their sleep. Greenland defense, front stay tall, orange and reaches but his fingers freeze and fall. Oh, let the drums mark this day. No more strangers lead the way. The bear, the hunter, the spirits rise to pluck the greed from the stranger's eyes. We carve the tupa like the hunter goes, tear the foul spirit from our sacred coast. Our hunters move without a sound. Silent ghost born on frozen ground. A great bear rises from the drifting snow. The northern guardian who fears no foe. Walrus stand where the green waves break. A force of nature no tide can shake. Winds will come, winds will go. We've dealt with worse before. Oh, let the drums mark this day. No more strangers lead the way. The bear, the hunter, the spirits rise to pluck the greed from the stranger's eyes. We carve the tupa like the hunter goes, tear the foul spirit from our sacred coast.